All right. Hello and welcome to the Alter podcast. This is a low budget episode in which I try to figure out how to make the stream work with Yimra.
Who has
Welcome.
no computer skills.
I have some computer skills. Like
You have
we're
more than I do
here
by far.
and it's running, so I don't know.
Are you're just trying to make it look more pretty without that fucking bar on the top. I'm
I
gonna be honest.
yeah, I
Just
don't know.
that physical motion, just
I don't know, man.
nothing matters anymore.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do?
Is he at you in the fucking chat? He's fucking.
I'm trying. I don't know what to do.
Okay, well he's all right. Well,
I can't adjust it. And it disappears every time I go out of the window. So whatever. Okay. Um I don't know if Yimra, if you want to step into the chat and watch the stream and make sure our audio levels are kind of all right. And somebody went. So we titled today's podcast Peruvian Salted Biota. And we're all just wondering well, who are they trying to convince with these little salty things?
Definitely real.
Definitely, totally real.
Definitely real. They're found a salt lake. I barely read any of the story. I saw the image, and I was immediately like, not only would this be like the most groundbreaking, insane thing if someone actually did find or had actually had an alien corpse, but honestly, I don't really understand the logic or point of it. Really,
Is there
it's
some
clearly
internal scandal in fucking Mexico right now where they're trying to convince people that not to pay attention to some corruption or some shit?
it's like the whitest kids you know skit where they have like moon bears, if you remember that episode, where literally it's like um they're like, yeah, there's bears on the moon, and like all this, they're doing like a whole 2 minute press conference at the White House, and I think at the end he's just like, oh, did you guys invade Iraq again or some shit like that? It's like, oh, you got me, almost got you there. It's something along those lines in my head, but I don't know if it's just like one guy somewhere in like Mexico's like fucking, you know, federal part of the sector or whatever. Just like, well, America did it, fuck it. We got our own too. I just don't understand why anyone thinks it's even real.
Yeah, it's a little insane to be like, yeah, these little dried out dudes that have it looks like it's like one of those cakes that you you cut into it and it's like beautiful chocolate, right?
Uh,
Like
it
I want to
looks,
see the chocolate guy who makes the alien corpses.
oh yeah, just well, he would do a much better job than that fucking
Right, it
explosive
would
guy.
look better.
It looks like plaster of Paris. It looks like like we use as a mold for clay or something almost. I mean, like just from any basic common sense, it's just fucking retarded. It's just like usually I try to gotta leave room for um give people the benefit of the doubt, even like flat earthers, as fucking retarded as that shit is. I gotta leave a little bit of room in there because you know what? Sometimes you're a little fucking stupid, or someone gives you good evidence and you want to be an asshole and be counterproductive. Whatever. I think you're dumb, but hey, it happens. This is just fucking ridiculous. I mean, just from like any type of understanding of desiccation of bodies, like how they degrade, even if you flash freeze or whatever, it's not. That's like none of that's how it works. It looks like when they have like a dinosaur bone kind of thing coming out of the ground, where it's been there for like an absurd amount of years, where it's not even really bone anymore. It's kind of just like this mold of where the bone was in some case, or wherever the fuck it works. It looks like that. It's like, why is there organs then and a whole rib cage? Like, is it what? Like, it's just fucking irritating. Like, just it's just so like stupid. I don't know how else to put it. It's just fucking stupid. Like irritatingly retarded.
like yeah, what's the deal with they said they had like eggs from it and shit like that too, like that they could
Mm.
reproduce like they're talking like, oh, we can clone these aliens. Like what
Like, yeah, what would that
who would
accomplish?
even
What we've already tried. Cloning hasn't worked as far as, well, they've been cloning for a while, at least out in the news and very relevant, but cloning isn't really a thing because it usually doesn't fucking work. It's a waste of money. I mean, what, those
no,
ranchers
they
in the
can
90s that died of like a heart, they live for a couple of years, but they don't live long lives, last I checked. They live like a handful at best. It's like same thing when they tried to recreate a species or some shit. I forgot, it was like a deer or some type of deer like animal by using this old DNA and mix it with another deer. And it pretty much just came out as a stillborn. That was like a couple years back. The same thing as like if we wanted to bring woolly mammoths back, we could use the DNA from them and like do some trickery with like CRISPR or some shit to put it into an elephant and fuck around there, but that's like it's not really a mammoth dog. And it's like same thing with these eggs, like even pretending this is real, how would you produce the like there's so many different factors about life on Earth as is, and then you have to add the statistical nightmare that is possible alien life, which is fucking absurd. This is the only thing that always pissed me off. I was like, aliens have visited. It's like, okay, any proof? Well, there was a UFO in the 50s. No, just no. Go fuck yourself. Shut up. That's like, oh, well, they visited us in the past. No, they didn't. Just no. Just straight up no. They would leave evidence. They helped us build pyramids. Like, okay, so they left us to tell us how to build limestone and put it up like a ridge. That's what they did. They didn't like do some cool gene editing stuff. They didn't give us like an ability to make rare earth metal shit. Nothing cool like that. No type of energy resource figuring out, not making solar panels 3,000 years ago. No. They'll just build a pyramid because some fucking asshole kraut had to be Unsterio to the gods and he has to have a History Channel show, so every retard has to jump on that one too.
so stuff like this has been uncovered before, and they just test it, and it's like some deformed little child, basically, like
Oh,
that
was it
got
cloning?
mummified in the Peruvian desert or whatever.
Just like a
Uh,
dead kid.
yeah, well, no, I mean, like it's really dry and salty out there, so like they do,
Yeah, so like the Salt
they,
Lakes over there, right?
yeah. So well, but they like
That's
hide them
I'm
in a
thinking of
salt
Bolivia.
cave, and like
Yeah.
they just fucking like desiccate and like get really dry. So it could be just like some weird deformed
Some
kid.
poor dead child that the Mexican government's just like just that like the motion, just laughing like a fucking cuck. Fucking asshole movie.
So the
Ridiculous.
person who presented the things to Congress in Mexico is wanted by the Peruvian uh, authorities for
That's awesome.
Peruvian cultural minister Leslie Ortega said no scientific institution in South America has identified the remains as non-human and questions how the specimens had left Peru. There is a criminal
Oh yeah.
complaint from the Ministry of Culture against people who have relationships with this gentleman.
Yeah, taking any type of artifact out of another country is like a super fucking bad thing to do. It's a whole bunch of paperwork. You can't be
Well,
doing shit like
I
that.
mean that, yeah, it's like,
Even if it's of a historical record, not like a somewhat fresh corpse, say in the last 30 years, where it's a cold case. Like, regardless, you can't just be like taking something you got to put in a wood box and go on a fucking plane and be like, you got paperwork for this desiccated corpse? I mean, maybe domestic flights, not domestic, but like international flights within South and Central America, maybe are a little more lenient because they're not America. They probably are. I can't imagine they're nowhere near as stringent as the U.S. But
I mean, maybe they
I
just
gotta
like box up and say like, oh, this is like some like pinata, like, and it probably
super
shows up in
racist,
an
super wrong
X-ray.
culture. It shows up in X-rays like that's a whole person. It's like yeah, it's for archaeological reasons. It's like okay, where's your paperwork, dude? You need to have paperwork to transfer something like that out of the
No,
country,
you
dude.
can't move a body on a plane like just willy nilly, right?
Oh yeah, I was just thinking about the Indiana Jones kind of shit in my head. I was thinking about the part of the fact it's a fucking corpse. I
So
think the whole alien thing is like one of those litmus tests for its like critical thinking skills. And I don't. I think a lot of people have critical thinking skill issues. I think I do too a lot of the time. People just like kind of like hear a thing, and if it's like from a certain standpoint, it's like that's it. But it's like all this alien shit's always like, well, I remember the History Channel thing from 10 years ago, and everybody's decided to debunk that within the last 5 years, and now it's like, well, the all the government's saying there's aliens. Now they're confirming it. It's like, okay, and what proof is there? An Air Force pilot said it was an unidentified flying object. You mean probably another drone, or spy plane, or just some weird fucking lighting bullshit? And they're like, oh no, we found two bodies. This is nuts.
Dude, it comes out every time like, oh, the Pentagon lost like $1 trillion. Oh, by the way, we found aliens. Don't think about the fact that we like failed this fucking audit of like how we spent billions of dollars and sent it to like Ukraine, or it was Iraq back in the day. Anytime like they get caught losing money, they're just like, by the way, we found aliens. So
You know, the worst part is like there's a lot of parts of the Pentagon that purposely have like a black budget that's supposed to be like you don't know what's being spent on, or even like the real figures. They're supposed to be inaccurate almost on purpose, and they somehow manage to openly lose money though, irregardless. When they have this literal perfect fucking spot where it's like, for legal reasons, we can't tell you we spent $1 trillion or $1 billion on this because in the black budget where we don't want other governments near peer or whatever to know that we're spending this much on this project. But they still somehow manage to be like, we lost $1 trillion. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Which is
well,
nuts
yeah,
to me.
like
It's
these
like you're
$30,000
hole.
toilet seats and shit. Well, like they nominally have something for it, but it's like obviously like it's just a toilet seat. Like it's
Well, I mean, like, if it's like on one of those fucking weird ass airplanes that's like, always in the sky all the time type shit, I can imagine some bullshit reason where they up the price where it's probably worth a couple grand because it's got to, flush right. And so it doesn't depressure or some bullshit. But then they upcharge the shit out of it because it's a defense contract. Where it's like it's not even like fraud. It's just general fucking like car salesman level bullshit. But with the military, where they're like the guy who's like signing off on it's like, okay, we'll cut you some money if you say these toilets are 30 grand. You're not losing 30 grand off, Mr. Colonel. You're gonna make a cut. You just don't tell nobody. You just say it's 30 grand. And he's like, okay, no problem. Which is how I imagine that kind of shit happens. Where it's not even like a malicious fraud in the sense of like money's being funneled out or like mismanaged purposely. It's more of just so fraudulently fucking like I'm so frazzled. Like upsold. I'm trying to remember car salesman terms. But it's the same thing as you go to a concession, you fucking overpay for a thing of popcorn. You go home and pop it yourself for $3, or you go to the place and get a bucket for $10, $12.
dude, I haven't even been in a movie theater for like years. Like, and
Oh
people,
man, it's so
I
worth it.
still find it ridiculous. Like people will pay like whatever it is, $12 for a bucket of popcorn, and then
I
they fucking like leave it all on the floor.
that was my first job was working at a movie theater, so I have strong opinions on all this. First job was movie theater, and I will say I pop the popcorn myself, and that's like the one thing where I'm like, if you go to a movie theater, yes, the popcorn's overpriced, but like, why the fuck would you get microwave popcorn and bring it there from home? Buy the candy and buy the soda outside the establishment, but the popcorn's like usually freshly
No,
made
it's like
if it's a
good
good place.
popcorn, right?
It's good popcorn. It's overpriced, but
It's
also
overpriced,
like
but it's
microwave popcorn versus shit freshly made in the back. That like I've seen the process. It's still super. It's processed food, regardless. Hey, whatever, but it's more
well,
fresh than
like
the
those
microwave shit.
machines, like with the thing on top and spinning around, and then
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we had something similar to that in the back. We had a big one that had these two pots. You put the oil in, you put the kernels in, you start it up, and then you would put a powder on there to make it like a butter. It's better than regular butter on there, honestly, because you put actual butter on there, you're gonna feel like fucking shit after. It's a type of oil basically,
Well, yeah, I'm
but
sure it's like some soybean oil goislov
it's
stuff.
yeah. I forgot what kind of oil exactly it is. I have yeah again. This is like my first job. That was when I was like 15, 16. So that is literally about 10 years now. Ugh. Um,
So
but yeah,
as
no,
you're getting back to car salesmen, like upcharging shit and stuff like that,
yeah.
like the UAW is looking at striking basically like tomorrow.
Hmm.
Have you seen this? Like
Oh yeah, I saw that. And usually when I'm seeing stuff about unions in America, I'm kind of just on immediately the side of the union because 9 out of 10 times, like usually what they're asking for is just like remember that train one from like was it last year, like 6 8 months ago, for the train workers, like the guys who are driving the trains across the country, like the freight
No, it
trains.
wasn't even
They're
last year. It
asking,
was like 3 months ago. It was
my timeline is fucked.
it was like earlier this summer. Like they were like, we fucking are way understaffed, and like you require us to run these trains for like 48
these
hours.
trains that carry like
We're
half the
like,
economy in some cases, in
yeah,
certain
we're like
places, like.
alone, and
And yeah, there's
you're
one guy driving these things who's usually on low sleep, and like God forbid, an accident happens, which has happened many a times over in the LIRR, Long Island Railroad, that goes from Long Island into the city, into like Queens and Penn Station. There was two derailments, if I remember right, as of late, like within the last month and a half or so, 2 months. Like I'm pretty sure that whole union thing kind of fizzled out because Joe Biden took a wet shit on it and fucked them over.
no.
But as far as
The
did it
fucking president
get
has
one
the
day off?
power to unilaterally like end any strike, and just
That
and
is
when it's
that is
related to like
absurd.
when it's like
Oh, for
transportation
transportation.
for like infrastructure, because you can just
Yeah.
say like, oh, it's a war power, like you guys can't not move shit on the railways.
Mhm.
um
Yeah,
and
that's
and like
disgusting.
he gave them like a token amount of like sick leave or something like that, to like appease them, but like obviously there's derailments every like fucking 3 minutes in the
Yeah,
US.
and what was it? I don't remember. I'll get my glass of water. 1 second. That might help.
So, okay, let me read this little thing. The first ever simultaneous strike of the Detroit three
Good.
car makers by the United Auto Workers grew all but certain on Thursday, with little progress reported in talks hours before the contract deadline expires. Union representing 146,000 U.S. auto workers is asking for a 40% pay raise through September 2027 and major improvements and benefits of what it calls audacious demands. UAW outlined plans for a series of strikes targeting individual undisclosed U.S. auto plants if agreements are not reached by 12 or midnight Thursday, which is tonight. Rather than a full walkout, the union plans to disclose the initial plans during a 10 p.m. Eastern Time event. Ford Motor Company's Farley told, he's the CEO, told CNN that proposals to hike wages by 40% would put us out of business. He said that there were no talks going on. The automakers received no counteroffer to its plan to offer 20% pay hikes. President Biden spoke with UAW President Sean Fain and the leaders of the car companies to discuss the status of negotiations. 10 days ago, Biden expressed optimism that the strike could be averted, saying, "I'm not worried about a strike. I don't think it's going to happen." General Motors said it's hiked its contract to offer a 20% wage hike for U.S. auto workers over 4.5 years, 10% in the first year to avoid a strike. GM CEO Mary Barra told employees companies still hope to reach a deal. Remember, we had a strike in 2019 and nobody won. GM reported a 3.6 billion pre-tax loss in 2019 after a 42-day walkout. Other Detroit automaker Chrysler parent Stellantis has offered to pay hikes of 17.5%. I thought Stellantis owned GM too, but I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah, Stellantis is the Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, Ram guys.
Okay, okay.
And General Motors is GMC, Chevy, Cadillac, those ones.
Okay, coordinated strikes represent the most ambitious U.S. labor action in decades and impact economic growth. Uh, the UAW demands are defined benefit pensions for all workers, 32-hour work week, and additional cost of living hikes, as well as job security guarantees and the end of use of temporary workers. So, I mean, it's pretty nice, but at the end of the day, like U.S. automakers are like almost out of business from Japan and stuff
And
at
they're
this
moving
point,
most of their factories into Mexico.
and yeah,
A lot of the
Mexico
U.S. ones.
and Canada
The,
at this
the
point.
irony is, a lot of the foreign automakers have actually put factories in the U.S.
Well, it's to avoid the
Kia
tariffs,
specifically.
right? So like,
I mean, well, yeah, Kia specifically put, I believe, one manufacturing place in Georgia, and I want to say there's another one in California. They have a testing plant out there too, over out in the middle of like the fucking desert. It's pretty cool.
Well, it just I don't. I mean, like the union has to look at a certain point at the economics of this and say, like, are we gonna put ourselves out of work? Because like
I mean,
the
considering
only
the
reason
killing that
they're
these
like in a
automakers have
position to
made,
strike is
though,
because
you
of
know what I
U.S.
mean?
tariffs on foreign car imports, basically, right?
Well, that's why a lot of them make them in the U.S. A lot of the factories are just in the U.S. Like I believe Toyota. I mean,
Well,
I'm sure a lot of them, a
Toyota
lot of
and
foreign ones do.
Subaru have like factories in like Tennessee and shit,
Yeah.
but
So a
they're
lot of
not
them
like
have
threatening to strike.
factories here. I mean, those United Auto Workers, it might. I mean, that factory workers would probably still be under the same bounds, American company or not, because the workers would still be.
In the
It'd
same
be like if
union.
I, it'd be the
Yeah.
same union, as far as I'd assume. I mean, I'm not obviously familiar with that union. I'm more familiar with the construction unions. I mean, to be fair, auto workers are doing some type of labor related job. The whole assembly line, and everything. I was googling it really quickly. The only problem is, right now, all the stuff that's showing up for me very quickly is like stuff is within the last like couple of days of like average pay for an auto worker, but it's saying like $28 an hour, which to me almost sounds low when you think about it, right? I don't know. Yet again, I don't know if the price might be like heightened or reduced on that statement, or if that is like the exact context for that. Because also, when you look up average salary for any fucking job, it's always way off than reality. 9 out of 10 times. I don't know why, unless it's for like the actual like applying to the job, and even then, I've heard stories about that shit, and some people actually sue about it.
So, okay,
But
they're saying that the average, this is just the first thing coming up. The average
mm,
wage at Big Three plant is 17 an hour, less than a number of non-union auto plants around the country. So I'm betting that that's
seven,
the reason why like the Toyota and Subaru and
mm,
Kia plants aren't like striking.
I
The
almost, I almost would wager the bet those guys are probably having a that $17 an hour honestly sounds low
That's really
to
low, I
me.
thought,
To
for like
me,
assembly
like in general,
manufacturing
also
work.
for a union,
Yeah,
for
if
work,
it's a
someone working in
UAW job.
manufacturing,
Yeah, that's
especially when it's
ridiculous.
manufacturing a product that has been overpriced as far as all the upcharge, upselling, over sticker prices that have been going on for the last few
No, no,
years.
yeah, cars like what the fucking F-150 costs like
Yeah,
$80,000 at this point. It's like,
yeah, we had I mean, we were selling certain SUVs for $3,000 over sticker when I was at my dealership. And I wasn't even working at the highest end brand at my dealership. I can't even think of the numbers they did for one of the other higher end brands. Um, there a lot of these like cars were selling for crazy over sticker when I was still in. And sometimes I walk by dealerships and kind of just look around, just look at prices, look at cars. I just like looking at cars. I'm not gonna buy one. The best thing about liking cars is like mentally, I just know I'm not gonna fucking buy another one. It's not like a gun where you're always like, $900. But no, I'm not gonna buy a fucking Dodge Challenger, fucking 60 grand. I know I'm not gonna be able to afford that, so I can mentally accept that fact. It's not like buying a new shotgun or something. Five
yeah,
hundred dollars, I can do that. I'm
right.
not getting more insurance, bro. Fuck that.
But dude,
But
like the average auto payment right now was like over $700. Like somebody who has a
oh
car
yeah,
loan, it's like,
it's ridiculous because a lot of the factories have been spooled up properly. I mean, there's still a little bit of that weird situation of kind of like the ebb and flow. A lot of these dealership people also aware that this is the end times for them because eventually all these companies are going to find loopholes to go and sell them themselves because even like companies like Ford are pissed at car dealerships for overselling their cars. Funny enough,
no, I mean, and it makes sense because it's like you're just
it
trying to
looks
cash
bad for
in.
them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like fuck, like we make a product, we're trying to sell that product just
yeah,
because. Yeah, and like the Ford Bronco, like people are on a wait list and like paying over 90K
mm.
for this SUV,
Yeah.
which
Like
should be like 45, right? It's like,
like most of these brands accept like, hey, certain cars are really rare or hard to get. Okay, no problem. Like, they understand selling over sticker and making a profit here, there. But there's if fucking literally multi bazillion dollar fucking car industry giants are saying, hey, whoa, we're gonna literally start opening our own dealerships with this loophole with the electric cars in a couple of years because you guys can't fucking help yourselves. Um, Instead of like these mom and pop and like enterprises of dealerships owned by whatever corporate entity, which you probably look around your local area, you might see a similar name on different
no, like
different like
they
car
own like
brands.
12 dealerships, right? And we might be like, oh, I own 12 Ford
Yeah,
dealerships, and
it's like like John Favreau's fucking Lincoln, and he has also a Toyota dealership, about two
mm,
miles down the highway.
yeah,
Um,
No, and
But
these
I mean,
dealers,
for
it's just a jobs program for fucking like basically like it's a like mercantilist like cartel. It's like
yeah, it's pretty insane. I remember I quit a job because was fucking. I just had up to here with this fucking guy. New manager comes in, talks shit about everybody. I was pretty new with being a service advisor, and I said like, hey, listen, I'm not fucking working here anymore. I don't care. Like I'm just gonna quit. Like you can find another service advisor, in this area. We're in the metro area. You could find somebody else. He's like, if you do that, you're never gonna find a job, job in this industry again. I'm like, you want a fucking bet, bro? I don't need this shit. Give
to
me the
the
salesman over.
turnover. I'd like okay, I started
Yeah,
doing like all my own car work or like going to like a
mhm,
local mechanic because like I mean I
yeah,
was stupid for so long to like go to
yeah.
a dealer service, but like I so rarely needed service like I it didn't matter to me. But
It's
then like
very specific when you should go to a dealership for service. Honestly,
say
there's
what?
very rare reasons.
Yeah, there's
There's
very
very
rare
rare
reasons.
reasons to go to it. Like there's certain like very specific niche things that they may be able to help with. Or if it's an older car, you'll be surprised. You'll have a mechanic who's been there for 30 years. It's like, yeah, I know how to fix out, it's 1986 Monte Carlo. And it's like, only this guy knows the best way to fix it. But that's here, not here or there. What are you saying?
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, but I was getting at is like in like so like I had just some road damage and like only the
Mhm.
dealer could get the parts in my area because I live in the middle of nowhere and like
Yeah.
so like it was just like 6 months of like going in and like getting like this trickle of parts that were coming to my like local dealer and fucking
Mhm.
like it was a different person every single time like at the service desk
Oh,
like
yeah.
over like their turnover was like every 4 or 5 weeks like there's just somebody else like they could not keep people around and
Yeah, it's a very weird industry. It is an industry where like I hate when people say like, "Oh, you're your own boss," which you're not, by the way, at a dealership. But you are kind of it's on you to make the money, and if you're really good, you're really good. You're gonna have a shit month sometimes, all that kind of stuff. But we are getting sidetracked from the point is those workers should probably get paid more, quite frankly.
well no if it was
$17 an
consumer
hour.
direct like yeah they'd get paid like buku bucks right
Oh no, I mean it. No, I mean is the union workers.
yeah no totally I'm just saying
Yeah.
like the dealers have fucked over the companies and the companies are like trying to make money, but they're having to
Mhm.
fuck over their workers in the meantime. Like Henry Ford was the father of like the 40-hour work week, right?
Yeah.
Like
I
which
mean,
was a huge
he
deal
did it
back in
both
the
good and
2010
huge
or
deal, but he's also
1910s.
like, how can I fuck everybody else over? It's like, oh, I could do an actual nice thing. Like it is proven that like it does help. And his 32-hour work week thing, I think, is really interesting. I don't like the idea
I
of
mean, that's
like
the average number of
eight.
hours worked by most people in salaried
Mm,
positions. Actually,
like yeah, I mean,
I've
I
looked it
can't
up.
relate. Couldn't be me. It could not be me.
No, I know
I
in
would
like
fucking
labor
love
manual
overtime.
positions, like
Oh
it's
yeah. I
way
mean, even
more.
before that, I would do graveyard shifts. I do 16-hour shifts. I didn't really fucking care. Overtime's my bitch. But 32-hour work weeks, I think fundamentally aren't a bad idea. I think making them completely standard is a little because you're still going to need somebody to work the other shifts or the other hours depending on the business. I'm sure there's probably
Well,
they
it's
say
just
32
like
hours. I don't
you
mean
can work more
everybody's
than
working up at the
32,
standard
but you
worker
get
is.
paid
Yeah,
OT, right? So, or like,
yeah.
time
I'm
and a half.
sure. I'm sure the logic is that the standard worker in whatever specific job or business or industry would you get 32 hours, but of course there's going to be someone to make up for those other time spaces. I'm
Well,
sure.
it pad out employment statistics, right? Because like everybody would have 5 part-time jobs because they don't want to pay OT.
Excuse me. I don't want to work for any place that shudders at the idea of overtime. I mean, some people complain about overtime because it's like, oh, you're working too much. It's like, very fair point. That's why you get into a union. That's good. Like a really good union, if you can. That is my main suggestion to anybody. Forget all the crypto shit and all the fucking hustle and side hustle. Find a fucking union, please. Just do that. That industry is full of old guys who are retiring in the next 5 to 10 years. Fucking look around. You'll be surprised. That being said, though, the if this thing doesn't go the way of this union, I'll be genuinely fucking pissed a little bit. I don't know as that much about the overall work. I've seen all the fucking videos of people like making cars and shit. You're dealing with hazardous materials, hazardous chemicals, you know, all kinds of dangerous shit. There's a lot of computer and weird those weird arm things that are doing shit by themselves too. but you are helping build a fucking car that has to, go through all this safety shit, all these test ratings, and has to be then sold to a consumer who's going to use that car at the very least at the very minimum a 2 year lease, which still 2 years to drive something where you can go up to $120 in with your stupid fucking iPad in there. You should probably be paid more. If the cheapest car on the market, I think that I can think of is about $17,000 or $16,000. It's probably one a
No,
little bit
the
cheaper in the US.
last the Mitsubishi Mirage was the last new car that was
Mhm.
sold for under 20,000, and Mitsubishi took it off the market.
Let me see, because I think the Kia Rio still goes for Kia Rio 2023, unless you stop making these fucking things.
They might have, I don't know. But
MSRP
regardless,
for Kia Rio is 16,000, but like those are a dime a dozen for Kia to sell them these days outside, at least in my area
okay,
in
yeah, I
North
don't see
America.
them.
But
Yeah,
you don't really see them because most people say, "Oh, well, I don't want to spend 17,000 whatever for a Kia Rio because it's a Kia and you're spending $17,000." At that point, you might as well get a used car. Honestly, that's better, minus the warranty, whatever. As far as just start selling it.
well,
But
so
that,
regardless, like what I would like the solution to be is that we need to get rid of all the cafe standards so that we can have gas hogs and high emissions again, and also all of the tariffs on foreign vehicles, so I can get sweet Datsuns back
mhm.
and um, weird cars from across Asia and
Yeah. Well,
maybe
that
and
whole like it's like
Europe too.
20 something years for like a foreign car to come in. I think that's way too long. Even if you have to say, okay, you still need the law, why not make it like 7? Make it 7. 7's a good number. It's enough time for it to not be a fucking issue because the technology advancing so fast. You can put a fucking iPad in there anyways when you get it.
No, like
You
that's
can
the
use
thing.
no
Like on a
matter.
used car, like all you got to do is hook up the speaker system, and you can still have your fucking like, which is on the back end, like, and you can drop
You
like
can
one
put
of
an
these
Apple
modern like
CarPlay
Bluetooth
things
Apple
there.
Play things
Yeah.
right in.
It
It's,
costs you a couple $100, and you usually spend probably $500 to $700 installing and buying the product
I mean,
overall.
honestly, you can
And
watch a YouTube
that's
video and do it yourself
yeah.
too. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
but like the
if you're like
product, yes,
confident.
like
I'm not.
and
I haven't done that to my car yet though, and I don't really want to at this point. I plug an aux cord and call it a day.
no, yeah,
Fuck it.
yeah, that's all good.
The
Okay,
only problem is it is a bit. We're getting very sidetracked because this is all car stuff now.
wait, hey, it was in this description. Okay, any final thoughts about shaving before we close the
Shaving.
show out?
I don't know. I shave very often. I'm not.
I
I
don't
can
shave
only
often,
really
and
do.
I'm not going to shave again for a long time.
Yeah, you look like a PlayStation 7, like like test reel for graphics. When you had the lights on just the right way when we started talking, it was bizarre. I was like, this man is not real. They're making like a knight's armor game, and they had to get like a handsome British lad.
Yeah, you're about to go like that lady on the plane. This man is not real.
This man's not real. What a fucking douchebag that lady was. What a fucking asshole.
And then everybody had a thirst after her too, and it's like she's mid.
I,
Come on.
I'm glad I'm not on the internet enough or in the right spots to not see as much awful shit as everyone. Everyone says someone will say something like that. I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I have so little hope in humanity, and anything else like that being exposed to me would probably make me kill myself.
All right, with that closing thought, we
On
are going
on the
to
thought of suicide.
say what?
On the closing thought that is suicidal ideation.
Uh, we wish everyone peace and benedictions, and remember that taxation is theft.